Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another episode of Paula. Oh, I was going to say Paula Jay. Tea and Coffee with Paula and Jay. I am Paula, and he is.
And I am Jay. This is a new thing she's doing to me now, so I got to get ready for it.
Keep you on your toes, my friend.
Yeah, and to all those that have noticed, hopefully our camera 3 is working better today. So far, so good. But thank you all for joining us today. This is a great episode that we have. We have some exciting guests today.
Yes, we definitely do. Go ahead. We know some of them are sitting in our green room right now, ready to join us a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, who's joining us?
We have Jeff Evely, who's a veteran, who is an excellent person. We've had him on the show many, many times. He ran for the PPC. He does a lot of work with Veterans for Freedom. And he went for a short little walk in the woods.
He went for a walk in the woods. And subsequently left with a $28,000 fine. Thank you, Nova Scotia.
Now, I'm sure you've seen him around. He was on Viva Fry. He's been on the radio. He's been all over the place because this is an important issue. Mm-hmm. It's not just getting a ticket or anything like that. It's a little bit bigger than that.
Definitely. It's encroaching on our rights and freedoms. Another example of what's going on in Canada. And Jeff is setting an example of that and pushing against it. So it's excellent. I'm very grateful he did it.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time. He uses the courts properly. He goes and does what he needs to do, bring things forward that he thinks is unjust. And we'll get into that because, he went in there before and he didn't have a ticket last time. And the court threw it out because the ban that he was fighting against was no longer in place.
It was a cow's opinion.
It was moved.
Joey from Friends. Cow's opinions move.
So Paula's on there today. Good morning, everybody. But yeah, and that's a common dismissal argument that the government uses all the time is it's moot. Mm-hmm. You, of course, as a citizen, can't use that argument because when you go to court for, let's say, speeding, well, it's moot. You're not speeding anymore. Yeah. But no, it's a dismissal argument the government uses a lot to get out of lawsuits, and that's unfortunate. We've seen this even in the Supreme Court when it came to Maxime Bernier and Peckford with their travel ban. They took that to the Supreme Court, and it got kicked out because it was moot. It was no longer in place. So I think it's really important what Jeff is doing here. And he's doing it, in my opinion, the exact way that the legal system was designed, which was if something doesn't seem right, you need to test it. Right. And that's a legal term. You test it, which means you bring it to the court and have the court make a decision. Most laws, actually, I think all laws at some point have to be tested, whether they're legislative, which means goes through the House, or if you're in a province, your legislature, and then gets into the court, or whether it's even judge-made. Things need to be tested.
Right.
So I think what Jeff is doing is really, really good, and I'm very proud of him. And I'm not surprised he's getting a lot of attention for this because this is way more than just a $28,000 fine. The woods in Nova Scotia. This is a Canada-wide thing that we need to be paying attention to.
Absolutely agree. And looking forward to chatting with him, lawyer, Peter McIsaac.
Right.
Exactly. Who's you said 29 years?
29-year veteran of the Nova Scotia firefighters. So he knows exactly what he's talking about, where he's talking about it, and why after 29 years didn't they decide to come up with tickets for people for hiking to start all these stop all these fires. But yes, Peter McIsaac, he's been on several times as well. Great guy out in Nova Scotia. He's already here nice and early. So just remind him of about 10:20 your time, we'll be pulling you on. So if you want to grab a coffee, now's a good time. And then, of course, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, Marty Moore, he's come back as well. He's out here in Alberta, so he got up nice and early to be with us. And he's one of the Justice Center lawyers, and he made a post about this. And the Justice Center is doing a lot of good work lately. Well, it makes it sound like they don't do good work. They certainly do good work.
They represent.
But there's a lot of things that they've been touching on lately that's really important here to Canada. So Marty Moore will be joining us as well at about 10:20 or 10:30 Nova Scotia time. So 7:20, 7:30 our time here.
Great. Now looking forward to it. So before we get started on that, because that's going to be, we're getting rolling on that in another 15 minutes. Why don't we share what else we've got to talk about? For example, there's a big event coming on in Alberta today that you're going to be joining.
Yeah, so if you're near Stettler, I believe that's what you say, Stettler, Alberta, Maxime Bernier, Cameron Davies, Jonathan Bridges, Chris Scott, from Whistle Stop, amazing man, does a lot of stuff for the APP. Rob
does a lot of stuff for Alberta. He's a good guy, Chris Scott.
Yeah. Ron Robertson, I believe his name is. And if you will pull up my post, I think Jeff Willerton will be there speaking. So a full lineup. I'm going to be there, but I'm not part of the proceedings. I'm
You'll
going to
be
go
in
there.
attendance.
I'll be in attendance, but I'm going to go and film Cam Davies' interview for our series, Alberta Self-Determination. If you don't know who Cam is, he's the leader of the Republican Party of Alberta. He's the guy that ran in that provincial election, got 18% against the UCP candidate recently in the by-election. And he's working really hard to get the message out that Alberta needs a new future. So he's agreed to be part of our series. He's one of the first that said yes. But lining up his schedule was difficult because he was running for the provincial office. And then he went to Alaska for some salmon fishing, and now he's back and about.
Isn't he known as that separatist through the mainstream media? And that's what they don't even name him. They just refer to him as that separatist in Alberta.
You're observant because you have a keen eye. Correct. So at first they would interview him kind of when he first came out and put his name in the article as well, name him and talk about his party. And then slowly it became the separatist candidate. And you didn't even see his name anymore. So yeah, you're right. Because when I talked to him when we were out on our road in Ontario, I joked with him, like, I'm going to change your name to the separatist in my phone because they don't use your name anymore. But yeah, he'll be joining us. I think what he's doing is very important.
Yep.
He started a new provincial party. Some people are happy about that and some people not so happy. But I think his plan to get the message out, get people to join the party and get more active and involved is the right plan. In order to get the message out, you're going to find all these different groups. It's not going to be a single group that covers everybody's needs, wants, and questions. Some people want a full-on republic. Some people want to join the states. Some people want a commonwealth. So we need multiple groups that are going to address people's concerns, because the common goal is the referendum and getting that vote done. So I think Cam's doing great work. So I'm really honored to be able to add him as I think he's going to be the 21st guest that we recorded. So we're getting through the numbers there.
And good morning, everyone. I'm seeing you in the chat, and I'm just seeing that. So one of the reasons why it's beneficial for Alberta to have more independence and self-determination. One of our good friends, Becky, just lost a supplier due to the tariff wars. #elbows up. And she deals with women's clothing, and brings out nice refresh, brings the new seasons up to everyone, and you can go ahead and visit her for what she does. But yeah, she's just lost a supplier due to the tariff wars. So yeah, that definitely does suck. I agree, Crystal, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that stupidity is affecting you in such a direct way.
Yeah, I'm curious on how she lost a supplier. So maybe a U.S. supplier.
Must be, I believe.
Costs are too high. Maybe the supplier itself went out of business. It would be good to know how she lost a supplier. But yeah, we're all being impacted in various ways. And that elbow up group is still strong and loud. I noticed, again, still on X, there's a lot of, I think they're vaxxed, these people. I think they fell for that scam too, that are really supportive of the government's banning here. Like, take away my rights, daddy type of people.
They don't deserve it.
Yeah, well, that's a good statement, but there's a lot of them. And that's kind of what's wrong with Canada. People thinking you need to take a knee to the government and just do whatever they say. They don't read history books. Okay, historically, that is exactly how you take down a people first, and then eventually the nation. Like, a whole nation will collapse when the people collapse. And history keeps repeating itself on that particular issue.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It won't affect me. It won't happen to me. That's the attitude. It won't happen to me. It can happen to other people, but it won't happen to me. And then when it happens to you, it's too late. And then your cause is lost. And then you're just in the same boat as everyone else. And you're just another, oh no, how did that happen? It's because you didn't stand up. You didn't speak out. You didn't say no. You didn't question. You didn't test. That's why.
Yeah, and these people aren't I don't want to say too bright, because some of them are doctors, like emergency room doctors, making these comments. But they don't have, I guess, foresight. Like, they're not looking outside the little bubble. Because one of the things that are coming down is a ban on journalism and journalists. We're seeing this happen in Europe already, where they're criminalizing journalism. And they're using the term like misinformation as part of that. But when Carney said the only media you can trust is CBC, you know exactly where we're headed with that. And these people who are posting on X, giving their opinion, God bless them. You're welcome to do that. But what they need to understand is even that platform will be gone next. It's going to be a chain of silence. And because they are participating in the government's version of the new world, which is you're fully under control and fully monitored, they may not realize it yet. But like you said, hasn't happened to me, but they're going to be shut down on their voice too.
It's going to be something.
Yeah.
So here, this comment here from Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
My supplier sent me an email. The price of my supplies is going up in September. I do upholstery.
Okay. So the ripple effect of the pricing. Yeah. And is that a U.S. supplier or a Canadian supplier, or, supply chains are all intermingled now, like raw material and stuff is part of it as well. So that's unfortunate. And I wonder what some people can do about that. Yeah,
I wonder too. And it's just, everything is just really now wait and see and put up with, quite honestly. It's just put up with it. There's not a lot people can do. Okay, quick comment here from David. The implementation of the Trump tariffs is a negotiation strategy. Carney had plenty of time to negotiate a mutually beneficial agreement. Elbows down.
Yeah, we were talking about that even before it even was deadlined. We need to be talking with our hands out, handshakes, not elbows up, hands out, to go ahead and make negotiations and make deals. It is unfortunate that. But look, if you read his book Values, he is sticking to his word. He quite literally is sticking to his word. He's trying to bring us closer to Europe. I think he wants us in the wars. I think things are going to get a lot more nasty. And I don't think Canadians fully understand yet who they elected. Carney is Mr. Burns in real life. He is.
Excellent.
Do that again.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, he is Mr. Burns in real life. He is here to help the rich, not the poor or middle class or even upper middle class. Yeah, he's here to destroy all of them. And he's not a true Canadian. He's certainly not a true Albertan. He may have spent some time in both places, but he's been a European globetrotter for quite some time and pushing digital currency and the carbon stuff, so climate catastrophe con or whatever he wants to call it.
The sky is falling.
And now he's at the lever of power here in Canada, and you're seeing the effects of that. He can't even make a deal with Trump, and I'm sure he could if he wanted to, but that's not his plan.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. But it's just unfortunate we're the ones who are the citizens are suffering from all of this.
That's always the case.
Yes, I know.
It's always the case. And now they're taking away things like walking in the woods. Now, people keep saying it's about fires, but we're going to get into this with Peter. It most certainly isn't. The numbers don't support that. And there's another video out of Nova Scotia. It looks like a liberal lefty talking. And I guess this whole narrative isn't working. People aren't buying it, that hikers cause fires. So her new twist on things is it's for your safety. Because if you break a leg, we can't come get you.
Oh, my goodness. But again, you're still shifting the narrative. So it doesn't matter what. Yes, you're right. You could have a heart attack in the woods and no one will come and save you. A bear could eat you. The whole point of this was about fires.
You see? Okay, spaghetti against the wall. The fire thing didn't stick. But this is more proof in my mind because she's an official. She's part of something. She was in front of a press corps talking about this. So this proves yet again that this wasn't about fires. This is about some sort of control. And if fire safety wasn't working with the public, well, maybe your leg breaking safety is going to work for the public. So this is a nanny state. You're heading towards a nanny state, right down to even saying, it's not for your best. And we saw this during the lockdown because they shut down gyms and stuff like that and didn't make them essential services. So your actual health is not a priority.
No, of course not.
No.
Especially when we know that in order to deal with some of the pre-existing conditions was be healthy, don't be overweight, eat better, all that type of thing. To just be a healthier human. No. Instead, it was don't go out, stay 6 feet apart. Don't be social, all those types of things. So nothing productive to your or beneficial to your physical health or mental health was encouraged during that time.
I wonder why they haven't released the vaccine for fires yet.
Yeah.
Take a vaccine to prevent a forest
Be
fire.
Fire retardant.
Maybe they're listening. Maybe there will be now. Who knows?
Oh, goodness.
But the bigger picture here, and the Justice Center will touch on this for sure, is the deterioration of our rights.
Right.
Right. Right? Correct word there.
I concur.
Because the more control the government has, the less you'll get back. Because one thing that governments, tyrannical governments, don't really have a history of is returning rights.
Correct.
They don't normally return them. You kind of have to fight for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in this current system, our best bet is to slow them down. Because if we don't stand up and fight like this, and if people like Jeff doesn't go and test these into the courts, they're just going to roll them out faster and harder and stronger. So I think the current strategy is to slow them down, not necessarily stop or reverse it.
And yeah, it's still not good though. Like the whole argument of that, whether you're going for liberal or conservatives, do you want to go speeding straight towards the wall, or do you want to slow down, but you're still heading straight towards the wall?
Right.
So it's not beneficial to us at all what these people are doing, and they all have an agenda.
So this kind of adds a lot more gas to the whole Alberta movement. When we get into the conversation with Jeff Carpe in our series, he highlights how this is an opportunity to kind of reset and redo everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the criminal code, what parts of it would we keep? The Constitution, what parts would we keep? What would we change? Where else would we get lessons from? This is a way to, I hate using that word because they took that word too, reset, but it's another way to redo everything, kind of restart from not necessarily scratch, but a new system. So if you can't fix the current one, sometimes toss it out and bring in a new one.
Yeah. Like, I'm at the point where it's like we know what we don't want, and we know what we should try to do, and all we got to do is just try and do it, which is stand up, speak out, test
the system, test it in the courts, make sure it's valid.
Because it's testing my patience. Boom. But
we have a button for that. I could do a boom. But look, I'm very pleased that Jeff is joining us today. He's been very busy. He's got a lot of requests to get onto shows and spread this out. And that's good news, because that means there's people paying attention. They think it's necessary to get that information out. And it's not going to be just, oh, he got his fine and then nobody talks about it. This is how we do it. I don't know if he's on any mainstream news at all, because I'm sure that they don't like what he's doing. Because here's a chain. We fix the government. We get rid of state-fund media. $1 billion to CBC no longer flows. So I'm sure they're very aware of their self-survival on that one, and making sure that they keep their little game going.
I agree, and we're actually getting a little bit closer. Do you want to put the video on now so people can watch it?
Right. Yeah. So we meant to do that. So we'll put this on, and so you can see what we're talking about. It's a 6.5 minute video. Yep. Grab your coffee, and thanks for reminding me.
You're very welcome.
Hey everybody, Jeff Evely here, out in Nova Scotia on Mountain Road in Coxheath. And as you can see behind me, this is the woods. But over here, this is not the woods. This is the Department of Natural Resources, where the conservation officers work, who issue $25,000 fines for going in the woods.
Not bad. I'm Jeff Evely. I called earlier.
Evely?
Yeah, Evely. I spoke to somebody earlier.
Yeah.
About the woods ban.
Yep.
And I understand that you guys issue $25,000 fines right now for anybody who goes in.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go in the woods over here.
Okay.
I don't want to make any trouble for you guys. Okay, I took this to court the last time they did it. They said I didn't have standing because I wasn't fined, so there was no money involved.
Okay.
So I want to challenge this order in court, and the only way for me to do that is to get the fine. So I'm not trying to make trouble for you guys, okay? I just want a piece of Tim Houston, and I want to be as accommodating and nice as I can be. I'm just going to...
Okay, so I'm ordering you to not.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I understand.
That's another...
Roger that.
I'm doubling fines right now.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. So, he has to be in the woods.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a violation yet, so.
Well, they're very nearby. I thought instead of crossing the road, I would just go in the back here, just for safety purposes. And, we can do it like that. Does somebody want to follow me out there, or? Yeah, it would be good to do a witness. And if it's okay with you, I would like to record a video. If you don't want to be on camera, I can keep you off it, but I think that it's in the interest of justice that we provide a fulsome record for the court because of the precedent-centered nature of this case. So I can keep you off camera, keep your name out of it, all that stuff, whatever works for you, but...
We'll be in court, so.
Yep, we'll be in court, so we might as well have a fulsome record, right?
But you have to go in the woods.
Yes.
2 steps.
Sure, you want to show me where the woods is, out back here?
The
Or
woods is
across
okay.
wherever you want.
We still have to suggest that you don't.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just ordered me. He said he's going to double my fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to defy that order, nothing personal.
Okay, so whatever happens after you leave here.
Yeah.
we'll-
Nothing personal.
I know, we
Okay.
we got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, one more time, this is the DNR office on Mountain Road in Coxheath, Nova Scotia, and this is not the woods. But back here, this is the woods. So, I have a couple of conservation officers with me right now who are not on camera but have advised me that if I go into the woods, if I defy their orders to go into the woods, then I will be fined, and they also said that they would double my fine to $50,000. So I'm going to walk down here and go into these woods. I don't know that there's a good spot to do this, but I'm just going to make this as painless as I can for those guys and go in here. And they have me on camera as well, walking in the woods. All right, isn't this great? And maybe there's an easier way out of here than I came in. Let's try this. We good? Okay. Okay. And I didn't ask, but did you write the ticket already, or?
No, we'll meet you back out front.
Back out front at the reception desk there? Okay, if I bring my camera, keep you guys off it?
Yep.
Okay. I'll see you in there, guys. Thank you. This is not the woods. Hi. I was just out back with the 3 gentlemen there. They said they would meet me back in here, so. She's got to get them.
So the order would have to go long form, and that
Okay.
would put us off months in advance for court times. So we just do a SOT
Okay.
for entering the woods
Yeah.
without forest travel permit when proclamation is effect. You have a court plea date. Your due date is the 12th of September, so it's a lot quicker, just the ticket. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So this
you want
is
to go that to make it quicker.
okay. So this is an SOT, and that is for summons to accused. What is this?
Summary offense ticket.
Yeah.
For today's date. Your information, Forest Act 25 sub 1. Fine is $28,872.50.
Okay. I thought it was 25,000. It's 28,870.
With court costs, victim fees.
Taxes.
Oh, victim fees. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thanks very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your courteous approach. Nice chatting with you. All right. Take care. Oh, this is still not the woods. So here we go. Oh, I have a ticket here for, let's see if we can see that, $28,870.50 for victimizing somebody. Okay, so more to follow.
There we go. Hello. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Peter. Oh my gosh. You're going to start a meme there, Jeff. This is the woods. This is not the woods. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I just embracing the chaos and
trying to juggle my interview schedule right now, but it's pretty clear to me that this is a very hot topic. No pun intended.
It is definitely a hot topic, and this is why you wear sleeveless shirts all the time, right? Because here we go, Jeff. Did you think you were going to get this kind of response?
No, not at all. Even when I did the initial video, the funny video where I was going around, this is the woods, this is not the woods. The thing was, like, that was, I think, the same day that they brought the ban into effect. And the last time they brought a woods ban into effect during the 2023 Nova Scotia wildfires, that ban extended to Cape Breton Island where there were no active fires. So I thought that was an overreach. And I submitted a judicial review on charter grounds, but the judge said I could not stand on my rights alone. There had to be money involved. And had I gotten fined, then I would have gotten standing to have my judicial review charter application heard. But it was not heard. So I knew as soon as the ban came into effect what I had to do this time to have these orders tested in a court of law. I had to go out and get fined. And so when they first brought the ban in, I was actually pretty steamed about it, quite frankly. And so I was just kind of making that video to blow off some steam. I was intending to kind of prime the next video with me going in to get my fine and stuff like that. But the way even that first video took off, I think it's at about 850,000 views now. The way that one took off, that was a really big surprise. And the other one, I haven't checked it this morning, but last night it was at about 3.3 million views, I think. So people reaching out to me from the Netherlands and the UK and the US and, just to express their words of support. And it's actually been pretty overwhelming.
Well, that's fantastic that you're getting that kind of reach. And I know that somebody put your video up on Instagram, and that's at like 4 or 5 million as well. So your reach is getting out there, Jeff. So thank you very much for that. Peter, how does it feel to be with a fire starter on the screen this morning?
Well, I think I feel oppressed. Is that the word you use down here in Nova Scotia? We have some serious, I wrote it down somewhere so that I get this thing right. We have what's called oppressive freedom stripping policies in place here in Nova Scotia. And because of my background, working for Department of Natural Resources for 29 years as a forest firefighter / conservation officer, I would have been one of those guys they would have sent out to do these tickets, and I just flat out would have refused to do it. So those guys have a job to do, and I guarantee it came right from the Premier's office. There's to be no warnings issued. There's to be nothing but tickets. So I'm real happy for what Jeff did when he called and said, look, man, what's the best way to do this? And because I used to be a CO, I said, get a CO, do it in front of him, and then force his hand. They have to give you a ticket, Jeff. And then he jumped, he had a great idea. He jumped on board, and those guys nailed him. And actually behind the scenes, we were actually working towards a charter challenge of our own, and we had some data prepared. I've already sent that to Jeff, and I'm more than happy to help him out as an expert witness. Because I've been on probably IC here in Nova Scotia on over 100 fires and 5 fires out west. And I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. And I'm probably the worst nightmare of the Premier of Nova Scotia right now, who's having nightmares, by the way, over potential fires. He says he can't sleep. He's under massive stress, worrying about homes being burnt down and charred bodies being pulled out of the wreckage. And yet we haven't lost a single person to a forest fire in the history of Nova Scotia. Actually, Jason, we've had more people in Nova Scotia killed by coyotes than by forest fires, just to kind of put things in perspective.
Don't give Tim any ideas. There may be a coyote ban on that one too. But if you're the biggest nightmare for Tim Houston, and maybe Jeff as well, then Marty Moore in the Justice Center is going to be up there as well. So Marty, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And the Justice Center has spent no time and no delay to get involved in this one.
Well, it's a privilege to be with you, and obviously to be joined with Jeff in this fight. I just think that this is one of the most egregious and overbroad infringements of liberty we've seen. I was going to say for decades, but of course we all lived through COVID as well, when we saw the government say you're not allowed to go for a hike by yourself out in the mountain woods here in Alberta. So some of this brings back memories. It's a lot too fresh, and I hope it's a lot too soon for them to try this again. And I'm really looking forward to getting a very robust case together along with Jeff and Mr. McIsaac. I appreciate your information there as well. This needs to be challenged. It needs to be challenged effectively, and a precedent needs to be set against this absolutely bizarre behavior. I'm sure you've been following how it's been spreading a little bit. We saw New Brunswick adopt a similarly based ban on going into the woods, although they've changed their reasoning over there. So the shifting reasons seem to indicate a lack of justification, which of course we all knew was there right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the new reasoning I heard is to protect your broken leg because they won't be able to come get you and stuff like that. But Jeff, what you've done here is more than just kind of get a piece out of Tim Houston, as you said. You've actually done something here that kind of puts a fork in the road for the rights here in Canada and possibly around the world. Because if this is struck down the way that it should be, this could be the beginning of the end to these kind of proclamations that the governments are doing.
Well, that is the aim. Certainly, we're going for that. It's astonishing to me that these people have such a little regard for the rights and freedoms that I signed up to serve and advance on behalf of Canada. Quite frankly, I think it's a gross indignity to our fallen soldiers, to veterans more broadly, and to human dignity more broadly than that. It's antithetical to the principle of equality. The idea that Tim Houston is not my superior, my king, my boss. He is my equal, even though he does hold more power in our society, and he serves a very different function. But I am a rational being, the same as him, not a piece of livestock to be coerced. He should try appealing to my reason for a change. Instead of just cudgeling me with fear porn and shame, because I think we've seen enough of that already, and it's high time it stopped.
For sure. And Peter, you kind of mentioned that if this came into effect while you were working there, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't actually issue these. Is that an option for the officers today?
All conservation officers in the province always have discretion, but and you can always issue a warning. It's like getting a warning for a speeding ticket. It's always left up to an officer unless politicians get involved. Actually, if you get an order from management to tell you that you have to do anything on a legal basis inside any of the acts, that's actually obstruction. And the person who issued you that order can actually be charged for what they've done. They cannot tell you that you definitively have to do anything under any act as a conservation officer. You always have discretion. But I can tell you this, nobody in Nova Scotia is not going to write that ticket, because I've gone fishing with Tim Houston, and he categorically will make sure their career will end. And probably the supervisor and manager above them, they'll probably go along with them. So everybody's trying to protect their livelihood, and I don't blame them. I mean, here in Nova Scotia, if you get tarnished with being an enemy of the premier, you're probably not going to be employed any longer anywhere.
Okay, so fair enough. And you went fishing with Tim. Hopefully he doesn't think the water's too dangerous and start banning that as well. Maybe he won't, because he likes to fish. So Marty, what's the difference between a mandate, a proclamation, and a law, or the differences between those three things?
Sorry there, Jason. I just getting unmuted here. What at issue here is an order, and that order was enacted ostensibly under the Forests Act. And so that's an order by the Minister of Natural Resources there in Nova Scotia. The difference is from a legal perspective and how you challenge that, but from a legally binding perspective, the force of law would apply to them all equally. And of course, from a constitutional perspective, the Constitution overrides legislation orders as well. So there's not a whole lot of relevance to the law other than that it's the Minister of Natural Resources who's in that seat to ostensibly exercise this authority to issue a travel restriction when it's, quote, necessary for the protection of the woods. And that's where an expert like Mr. McIsaac would come in and say whether it's, quote unquote, necessary for the protection of the woods to ban people from walking in the woods. We think it's the exact opposite, in fact. And so that's, for example, one of the ways that this would be different than a legislative law that's actually debated and passed. In this case, we have to know whether or not this order was even legitimately made under the authority of the Forests Act.
Will that be the first challenge, is to see if it's legitimately applied? Or is it going to be a rights challenge? I mean, it might be a little early to discuss what your strategy is on this one, but off the top of your head, what would be the first challenge for you?
Well, all of those challenges would likely go together. There would be a notice of challenge, whether you file that as a judicial review or whether you file that as a notice within the context of the prosecution. I think those details are being worked out, and I'm sure there'll be more discussion on that. But they would likely be argued together at the same hearing. But generally, you have to find that the order has the jurisdiction of the legislature.
Okay, so we have a small little issue with your connection to Marty, which I think we got the gist of it there, but it's going to all come up basically at the same time. So Jeff, on the 12th of September, are we expecting to have any hearing, or is this going to be setting down what your plans are? Like, are you guilty, non-guilty? Are you paying the fine? Like, is this going to be just one of the steps in the process?
My understanding, based on the way that it was explained to me by the conservation officers who issued the ticket, was that I had until that date to submit my notice of intent to contest the fine. And then once that was done, then they would schedule a trial and give me a court date.
Okay, so this can move along pretty quickly, and moot or not. Is it October 15th, the date that they say that this order is coming down?
Actually, I don't think they can argue mootness on this one because they're the ones dragging me into court. So it's a very different situation. Like, they tried to argue mootness the first time. And of course, my argument was it's not moot because they're going to do it again. And I was right. And they said I didn't have standing because I didn't get a fine. So I went out and got the fine. But now it's them bringing me into court, and I have to defend myself against their allegations. So they're not going to be able to argue standing or mootness or any of that nonsense this time around.
Now, does that put them in a position to be able to drop it and stop all of this? Or once the wheel started, once it's in motion, you guys keep going?
Actually, that was how I beat my mask violations in Nova Scotia. Was I made the mistake of submitting my defense to the courts ahead of time because I'm a military grievance guy, and I guess I didn't really understand at the time. I didn't fully appreciate that I should play that hand a little closer to my vest. So once they saw a charter defense on the record with the courts, I showed up for my first court date, which was for a charge of obstructing, and nobody showed up. So the judge just banged the gavel, said none of the witnesses are here, so you can be on your way. And the second time I got the $2,700 fine, I did the same thing, and the Crown withdrew the charges 2 days out from the court date. And I have said in open court, while I was challenging this woods ban the first time that it came around, that was all a shakedown, and they knew none of this was ever going to hold up in court. They went ahead and did it anyway, and then withdrew the charges, so I never get my day in court. So it's definitely not beneath the province of Nova Scotia to get up to these kinds of greasy shenanigans. And I absolutely would not put it past them that they would withdraw the charges so that we never get to know whether it is in fact legal to go hiking in Canada. But only time will tell.
I got to tell you, Jeff, that's where I put my money, that they're not going to show up or they're going to withdraw it, because I don't think they want the precedents at all, and they know they're not going to win. That's my opinion on that one. But I think that's where this is going to head. So, Peter, we have things out here in Alberta, and I'm sure you have it as well, fire bans, where you're not allowed to start a fire. And this is how we control things out here in Alberta. So certainly you guys would have that. Why is that not sufficient to go ahead and protect the forests?
And that's the number one question to be asked. When the initial fire ban got put in place, I went to the FW Fire Weather Index data for the day, because that's what all firefighting and fire prevention measures are based on, basically all across North America and every province in Canada, is that they look at that data, and the data when the fire ban was put in place did not support a blanket ban, because 40% of the province was in what we call low to intermediate fire threat. And so it may have justified a ban in some of the areas listed as extreme. But what happened is when the premier, who I personally think is suffering from PTSD over what happened in 2023 based on comments he's made publicly, he decided to completely ignore the FWI system that all systems are generated, that all decisions are based on, and said, no, we can't have a repeat of 2023. He's told his MLAs that he's losing sleep over it. He has visions of charred bodies in homes, being drug out of it, and he has a real issue with it. And nobody in the province would fight back, or none of the MLAs would speak up, because if they do, historically, anybody that doesn't go along with the premier goes from that discussion directly under the bus. So people need to understand, Jason, in Nova Scotia, that when the premier makes a decision, then he advises the minister what he wants done. The minister advises the deputy minister who's told to make it happen. Then they go to the senior director and then to the manager. And if anybody along that chain decides not to do exactly what they're told, they're going under the bus, and they either may lose their job, or they'll be in a corner room somewhere not doing stuff. So what's been presented to the public is that the premier's making decisions based on information from his experts. And that's not the case at all, because this is top down. This is not bottom up. And so categorically, the premier's lying to the public.
Okay, so I think that's an excellent argument for Marty and the rest of the team at Justice Center to take a look at, that fire bans cover areas once it gets to a certain point where a fire risk gets high enough, the fire ban can take effect. And what you just said there was there were areas of Nova Scotia where it didn't reach that level. So the fire ban itself couldn't be put in place. So this is why they put in a broader provincial-wide ban for entering the forest. So I think that right there kills the entire argument that Nova Scotia may have, that this is to protect it from fires. Marty, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, once a liberty infringing order is made, then if that order is not in accordance with what's called the principles of fundamental justice, then that infringement is unconstitutional. And one of those principles of fundamental justice, Jason, is whether or not the order is overbroad. And I think in about 15 different ways, this order is overbroad. And the geographic areas that it applies to would be overbroad. It might be appropriate to have a fire ban in one area, as Mr. McIsaac says, not in another area. It might be appropriate to have a particular restriction, but when you start banning activities that have no relationship to fire, not only is it overbroad, it's also arbitrary, which is another principle of fundamental justice that you're not supposed to violate. Laws should not be arbitrary, they should not be overbroad, and they should not be grossly disproportionate. And I think, as Mr. Evely said earlier on another podcast, there's also an element to this case that, fining a gentleman $28,000 for a walk in the woods, we're going a little bit further than deterrence here. We are going into cruel and unusual punishment territory.
Well, speaking of cruel and unusual punishment, Jeff, how are you finding the response, some of the negative responses you've been receiving online, like from the bots and just comments in general? Like, are you surprised on the negativity you've received for you standing up for Nova Scotians?
Not at all. People have been really rotten for the last several years. There's always a few trolls in the mix. I'm actually surprised at how positive the response has been. I was reading and posting some troll comments earlier this morning. These people can't see themselves. It's insane. And one of the things that I said about the way that I approached this in calling ahead to make an appointment to get my $25,000 fine was that I wanted to bring the civil back into civil disobedience, because I feel that that's something that we've lost in the last several years in Canada, is our civility. Let's get back to being who we really are. And, we're going to disagree over things. Conflict is very natural. It's not something that can be avoided. It is something to be properly managed. Let's get back to doing that and being decent people again.
I agree. I just want to add, so we've got a question here saying that if it's struck down in Nova Scotia, will that apply to Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and as well others from considering and stopping this nonsense?
Well, we can throw that one to Marty,
Yeah.
but typically it would be persuasive, not binding, because these are jurisdictions that are crossing borders. If it was on a federal level, it would be binding. But Marty can correct me on that one.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, there we go. Exactly right. I don't get that comment too much.
Yeah, it
around
would
here,
be.
Go ahead, Marty.
You're up, Marty.
Sorry about that, Jason. yeah, it would be binding from a constitutional perspective. If it got to the Supreme Court of Canada, of course, that's a little ways down the road. We have taken steps to write to New Brunswick. I think if they keep on the course they're on, they might find the same situation with a legal challenge coming down in their order as well. So potentially separate actions need to be launched against restrictions in Newfoundland and New Brunswick.
Well, the legal side of this is spreading faster than any wildfire or forest fire. And I think hopefully it's going to stop at this stage. And I know Ontario is even kind of talking about maybe doing it as well. But now we're hearing a lot of the legalities behind it and the common sense behind it. Like, if it's not high enough for a fire ban, then why in the world is there a ban at all? Okay, so Peter, as you're sitting there watching this breakdown, do you feel kind of sad that the organization that you used to work for that was protecting Nova Scotians are being used as a political tool like this?
Actually, it's why I took an early retirement, Jason. The day I could leave, I left, because the politics was getting involved in every facet of everything happening in the province. And I have to ashamedly admit that I helped put Tim Houston in power. And I mean, you know, on a daily basis, he hoodwinked basically everyone down there to let us believe that he was actually a conservative by nature. He's more liberal than most liberals that I know. And so what happens is that, and he's very, he believes in ultimate power in the position that he's in. It's why I'm involved in another charter case that will be in court on September 5th for something that he did politically here in Nova Scotia. And so he has complete disregard for the charter. And I believe what Jeff is doing and what's going to happen here will be the final nail in the coffin of a politician who's actually he's basically off the rails. I've been involved in politics too, Jason, since 2012, behind the scenes, and I used to incorrectly think that I could change things from inside the system. And inside natural resources, the way I discussed the top-down situation, irregardless of your position inside that department, when the premier says jump to the minister, everybody jumps in sequence. And so you find yourself in a situation where you're demanded to do some things that just absolutely violate your moral code. And this would be one of them. This would be something, if I was still there, I'd be leaving over it, wouldn't do it.
Have you heard of anybody doing that, leaving over that or pushing back within the organization?
In Nova Scotia, nobody can afford to leave anything, buddy. Mm-hmm. Our cost of living down here under Tim Houston's gone through the ceiling. So if you have a good career, you know, if you're anywhere near pension time, I haven't heard one other person at DNR speaking up. And as a matter of fact, I watched a good man stand up in front of a camera on Friday and knowingly deliver a message to Nova Scotia that as a professional, he would know that he was not telling the truth. But he's probably got a wife and family to feed. So that's the, I guess that's what's held over the head of everybody working inside the government down here. And Tim Houston is absolutely ruthless. He's got a long history of if you disagree with him, you're going under the bus. And I'm no doctor, but like I said, what I saw his speeches online about, you know, losing sleep and stuff, that to me is PTSD from something that happened back in 2023. So when the first ban was, and by the way, one other thing, Jason, we've had multiple fire bans all through fire season. If the data in an area, so I'll point it out to the legal team, that we've had multiple bans, multiple situations, and the fire map that's put up digitally every day shows those areas that are banned, and it says in a big red section of the map, you cannot burn in this area. And then in other areas where the data suggests that it's intermediate, you can burn with very strict. You've got very strict guidelines that you have to do things by. But in Nova Scotia, back around 2013, we used to have a paper fire permit system where people had to come into a district office, and at least 50% of the time, I was able to talk them out of burning it all and said, look, why don't you wait till fire season's over? This can wait till then. Or why don't you cover it with plastic and burn it on it, or cover it with tarp, keep everything dry, and light the fire on when it's raining. And that's gone, along with our fire tower system, along with our only heliTAC team, along with our helicopter that had the greatest water drop capacity. And most of those decisions were all put in place after people were beating the climate change drum. And you would think that all across Canada, provinces would be ramping up their fire control structure. And instead, since 2010, basically going forward, every province has reduced their firefighting capabilities. So what's happening here, I was an investigator for a long time, and I'm looking at this from a 60,000 foot level. And what Jeff is doing and the team is doing is required to nail these guys down, because if this slippery slope isn't stopped now, there's going to be no end to it.
100% agree with that. And that's why as soon as I saw what Jeff did, I put out there, he's a hero, because he has taken a shot, he's taken a chance, and this is going to actually make change. And we're going to get some answers. Now, Jeff, one of the things that just felt like to me as an Albertan right away was like gun bans, because you're going after the wrong people. You're going after the people that actually don't cause the problem. So arsonists, lightning, other things cause a forest fire, not hikers. So it felt like it was definitely an overreach of rights. It felt like a gun ban because you're going after the wrong people. You can't criminalize criminals further, but you're criminalizing the non-criminals when you do stuff like that. This is what it felt like to me. Did that feel the same way to you?
Yeah, you might as well ban my car because drunk drivers exist. Just because there are people out there who will behave irresponsibly doesn't mean that you have to remove our rights to ensure we don't behave irresponsibly. Like, I think it's, I think I said something on X there yesterday about, especially with relation to how we see this totalitarian monkey see, monkey do across the Atlantic provinces now. I was listening to that woman, that odious hag in Newfoundland, talk about, how she wouldn't want to see anybody's lives ruined, their families ruined because they got a massive fine and went to prison. And she's just sitting, like, the banality of evil is on full display. That, and I think something like the what is the phrase that I'm reaching for here? It's in relation to their the paternalism of the guilty mind, I think is the way I said it on X. The paternalism of the guilty mind that is central to the essence of totalitarianism. That's something we see, that's run shot right through every dystopian novel. Basically, is that, like, I'm hurting you because out of love, right? Is the idea, and everybody loves Big Brother in 1984. And that is the final scene in Big Brother after Winston undergoes the torture in room 101 at the hands of his superior, O'Brien. And some of the things that, like what O'Brien is saying to him is, he'll say 2 + 2 = 5. Winston will say, yeah, 2 + 2 = 5. I believe it. And he'll say, oh, I know you say you believe it, but you don't really believe it. I'm going to make you perfect. I'm going to squeeze you empty and fill you with myself, me, my ego, be like me. That's the totalitarian impulse. There's, anything less than ideological homogeneity is absolutely unacceptable, and makes you the target for abuse. But he's doing it because he cares so much about Winston. And the last line in 1984 is that he loves Big Brother. Mm-hmm. Winston loves Big Brother now that he's undergone the torture, and now he understands. I mean, he's brainwashed, really. But, when he sees a picture of Big Brother or something, he gets a little welled up, a little tear in his eye, because, he understands now that it was his lack of love for Big Brother that led to his indiscretion. It mimics, a religion, really. That's what totalitarian regimes do, is they mimic religions where they put the state in place of God. And so what I've engaged in, my subtle act of, civil disobedience is effectively heresy. And that's why you see the triggering taking place. Everybody's just going for the pitchforks and the torches. And they will say the most onerous things to me, especially. They always go right after my veteran status, whatever the lowest possible road is, because they're self-righteous in their delusions. If they do it, then it is good. I am obviously, the heretic, and therefore I need to be expunged. from their more pure society. So I find it all to be, you know, very dangerous territory. Like, I don't think we've ever faced a challenge like this in Canada before. But at the same time, I think it's also the case that once a human lifetime, you know, humanity needs to rise up and rights need to be asserted. They won't stand on their own. So we have to stand up and assert our rights. And this is just kind of our time in history to do that.
There's a comment here I want to share. Let's put the no back in Nova Scotia. No hiking, no fishing, no camping limited, no walking in the woods, no hunting, no freedom, no off-road vehicles, no common sense.
Thank you very much for that one, David. And one of the things, go ahead, Jeff.
I just said I love it.
Yeah. One of the things that popped up pretty quick was people were trying to create fundraisers for you. Now, I think you responded and said if you want to get involved, you can donate to the JCCF. Is that still standing?
Absolutely. And I'm going to make a note right now to pin a tweet to that effect, because I have already posted that several times, but I think it would be more effective if I just pin that on my X profile to make sure everybody is aware. I don't want to touch any money at all whatsoever throughout any of this. So please donate to the JCCF. I think they're a wonderful organization. They represented me for my convoy and Rolling Thunder charges. I'm really happy to be working with Chris Fleury again. We have a good rapport. I think he's a stand-up guy and an excellent lawyer. So I'm definitely heartened by the fact that they came to my defense so quickly. They reached out so quickly. You know, I really believe in what they're doing. So by all means, donate if you are able, as generously as you are able, to the JCCF, because we really need an organization like this in Canada.
Fantastic. And yeah, we're going to be having Chris Fleury and John Carpe on in a week or so after John gets back from vacation. Marty, my last question for you is, could the government just withdraw this or not show up? And if they do, is there a way to keep this going on your front?
Well, I don't think it's debatable that Jeff has standing to challenge this order, and I don't think it's a likelihood that the court could find it moot, even if the government decides to withdraw the ticket, because Jeff has already shown that he warned the court last time. They didn't listen to him. He's here again now. He's got a $28,000 fine. Should the fine be dropped by prosecutors, that doesn't mean that a potential judicial review couldn't still advance with Jeff as the applicant there. And so I think this case is going to a hearing. We're committed to backing Jeff in his fight. He's a hero for standing up and doing this. This is what Canada needs. Canada needs Canadians who are willing to say no respectfully with that civil attitude. And actually, the humor is fantastic, Jeff, because you have to be happy warriors in this fight. It's a winning way for sure. And this case will go forward and we'll make sure it goes.
Well, Marty, thank you very much for that clarification. Jeff, thank you so much. You are a hero. You've been a hero of mine before even this. And Peter, thanks a lot for jumping on and giving us some common sense from a firefighter's perspective, 29-year veteran of the department. Gentlemen, we got to run, but thank you very much for your time. Jeff, I'm sure we'll see you around all over the place, and come back anytime. Yes, Marty, you take care. Big hugs to the JCCF. And Peter, I can't wait to meet you in person one day. Gentlemen, you have a great day.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Well, there you are. Let's get the right person. We got there. We got there. There we go. We're still pushing these buttons. But there we are. So there's Jeff, there's Peter, and there's Marty.
Yep. No, it was great wealth of information. And the chat is just loving. They just cannot wait to see what happens next. And odious hag. That is, love that term. Absolutely love that term. Odious hag. Yeah. But yeah, the chat was all over just wanting to see what happens. Can't wait. Wants this craziness to be dealt with.
Yeah, and we took it to our limit on the time.
Yep.
So thank you very much for providing this hour to us as well. And hopefully our audience likes this kind of format where we can bring on guests just like these three gentlemen in order to have conversations quicker than we were having before. So I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate our audience, and I really thank you all for being here today.
Yep. Have a fab day, everyone.
You want to say goodbye?
Bye.